Welcome to another episode of A Higher Perspective, the podcast. Let's get ready for Perspectivize.
Nice, I hit it. I did it.
That was nice. That was a nice guttural yell.
First roll.
Yeah. Hey, welcome back to our show, everyone. As you can see, we're in a new area. Really, it's a fun little thing we're trying. So please excuse any mishaps with the screen that you might see.
Hey, great job, by the way, Charlie. Like, this looks amazing. My first time seeing it today when I walked in, and mind blown.
Thank you.
From our little barrel,
right,
with our high wooden chairs to this now.
Yeah, we've come a long ways.
Yeah,
come a pretty long
absolutely.
Ways. I just wanted to take a minute to say Happy New Year, Eric.
Oh, hey, Happy New Year to you too, Charlie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, this new year is going to bring a lot more of us, folks.
It is. It's going to be. It's going to be pretty fun. So
we're about to take the world by storm.
Let's have a good time. One thing we're going to have a lot of in the future here, this new year, is going to be some fun interviews. Yeah. With a lot of people, a lot of interesting people. So no boring stuff, and hopefully we can bring about the guttural laughter. As well as that scream.
Yeah,
I did like that.
Hey, looking at us like on the screen right now, we look legit.
This is pretty neat, isn't it?
It's okay to give ourselves praise.
Yeah, I'm down.
I love this gold mic because everything I spit.
Thank you.
Gold.
Thank you, Ian. He is somebody who really came through when we said what we were trying to do. He heard our idea and thoughts and was like, "Hey, let me help you make that happen."
Nice.
Excuse me.
Heck yeah.
And he did. Thank you, Ian.
Thanks, Ian. Shout out.
So this episode is going to be a little longer than usual. It is something that is special because we are hitting our first mega interview.
Yeah.
This is somebody we've been looking at and watching. He's a unique artist on the Pacific Northwest. And I think you're going to be really blown away with some of the stuff he does. His name's Kenny Keating, and he works in bottle caps, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. Oh, wait, we forgot to introduce ourselves.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, Eric Tonis, co-host.
Charlie motherfucking Brown, yeah.
He's the man.
I try to be.
That's the man right there.
Try to be.
Hell yeah. Well, and so for this episode, the interview, I was actually not there for.
You were not. What were you doing? Where were you?
Man, I don't know if I should say. I don't know if people really want to know.
I think they do. I really want to know.
Okay, we were. It was some Greco-Roman wrestling.
Damn it! I knew it.
Matt.
You didn't call me.
Shimkus.
Why didn't you call me? I mean,
it was just quick. It was a quick one after work. I ran into him on the street, and we just went at it. Yeah.
Where did you get the oil? Did you use all the oil?
Oh, I got oil.
Damn it, I don't want to know.
I always got oil.
I don't want to know.
No, I'm just actually a father of a toddler, so sometimes I have no availability.
Yeah.
When cool interviews pop up, but that's why we decided to have me jump on and do a little intro for the episode too.
So that's why we're letting it fly. That we're gonna do some interviews, and you'll see a lot of before and afters. We're gonna introduce them, whatnot. If we can't get to them at the same time.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't sound too weird.
I hope
no Greco-Roman wrestling
does.
involved.
No, I like it a lot. I think it's awesome. And this interview is great. And this dude's art is absolutely amazing. Bottle caps.
It's off the hook.
He is the bottle cap king of the Pacific Northwest.
He is the bottle cap king at the PNW, baby.
So, look up his stuff with all of our with all the info that we give you with his Instagram and whatnot, because it's worth a look. Worth a look for sure.
Oh, his story is just beginning. It's a mega story, and it's just beginning.
Yeah.
So tune into him and tune into us, and let's follow him along and see where he goes.
Who's our +1 today, though?
So our +1, if you're ready for this, is a little beauty called Platinum Goo.
Oh, Platinum Goo.
Yeah, from our buddies at Oregon Bud Company.
Oh, love OBC. Those guys are the best.
You down with OBC? Hey,
You
You know
know
me.
me.
Mm,
Yeah, those guys are awesome. I was just in there the other day. So shout out to them. I think Joel and Ty.
yeah,
Is that his
I
name?
think so.
Okay, yeah. They were the ones that helped me out, and those guys are the best. There's also a gal there who a little bit older, and she is from my hometown of Billings, Montana. So 406 representing at OBC. Love it. Ooh.
Nice.
Okay,
I
here.
like it.
While we're smoking this and introing this episode, you know what I first thought of when you were telling me about bottle cap art?
Huh.
Fallout, the game Fallout.
Hell yeah.
Did you ever play that?
Hell yeah.
Nice, because bottle caps are the currency in the game for those who don't know. So
My son,
my nerd brain immediately went to that.
my son went nuts. He's in California when I moved away.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things he bought me was Fallout 76 so that we could go online and play each other,
Nice.
except for the fact that he's a fucking maniac at the game and I am not. So, I can only do so much.
So I never played the 76 one. Do you is it like a big open world that you
Yeah,
guys?
it is amazing.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's amazing.
I played like Fallout 3, New Vegas, and Fallout 4, but I didn't play past that.
Yeah, great. It's a good one. Um,
Yeah, so befriend this guy because when the apocalypse happens, he's gonna be flush with gold, bottle
oh,
cap
no
gold.
kidding. Never thought about that. Yeah. Bottle cap king. It's already in the name.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. So sit on back, enjoy some platinum goo, as Eric and I will,
Woo,
and we'll be
that's
back.
good. That's good. Wait, what's the percentage on this, real quick?
Oh, fuck. That's how good it is.
Let me see. I'll take a look.
I'm already losing it.
23.1%. Nice.
It tastes pretty good.
I'm gonna enjoy this interview.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It is a little longer than usual, as I said, so stick around. Have a good time. We love you. Bye. All right, everyone. For our New Year's episode, we have something very special for you. Our very first interview with somebody I've been looking at very closely, an amazing artist. In a world overflowing with waste, this artist is a champion of creativity and sustainability. Please welcome Kenny Keating, whose unique art not only showcases incredible talent, but also inspires us to rethink what we consider trash. Thanks for coming, Kenny.
Hey, thank you. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, my man.
Good to be here.
It's great to have you. Your stuff is amazing, by the way. And when I say art, this man makes beautiful stuff from bottle caps. And I gotta say, I've never heard of that till right now. And I fell in love. What you do has just blown my mind.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people doing it. There are a few people out there doing it, but not very many, and not to the degree and finish that I'm doing it at.
Yeah.
So I've taken it actually another step farther than some of the other people that are, at least that I've been able to find on social media. There's only, a handful,
maybe a handful. I've not found too many people who, when I look at a picture, I can't, I'm not an artist in any way. I cannot see the lines. How do you do that? Like, I'm going to ask that question just so you know.
Yeah.
It blows me away to see that, working with metal. That's what it is to me. A bottle cap is just metal,
right? And
you're working with metal, and I think metal is a pretty hard thing to work with.
Right.
So I think you're doing a great job, dude. That stuff is amazing.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll go through. I'll put some pictures up of some of the stuff Kenny's done, so you can see it as well. And let's start talking.
Yeah.
So, what initially sparked you to think of bottle caps as art?
Well, how far back do you want to go? You want the origin story?
I want an origin story.
So, when my mom met my dad, he was working at Six Flags as a troubadour, where he was walking around dressed up, playing guitar, singing.
Yeah.
So my dad has always been, a singer, loved karaoke, played instruments, and I didn't get to see my dad much growing up, so that like influence wasn't there for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there was like some genetic memory bleed through coming out, because even my earliest memory was like kindergarten, And I remember Christmas was coming and we were coloring Santas, and you cut out the legs and the arms and you put the little brads in them so they move, you know. So every kid in class is doing a typical red and white Santa Claus. And at 5 years old, I already was coloring and knew how to do the camouflage pattern. So I was making a camouflage Santa Claus, which caught the teacher's attention. I remember her coming over and standing over me and just looking at what I was doing, you know.
Yeah.
And when it got to the boots, I was just scribbling with black, just making a real big scene out of it because I knew what was going to happen. I'd already played this out in my mind.
Yeah.
And she came over and said, Kenny, no, you have to color in the lines. And this 5-year-old looked up at basically an authority figure telling him you can't do that and said, it doesn't matter if we're going to cut it out, does it?
Oh my gosh.
She was like frozen, you know. She's like, what? Can we cuss on here?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She's like, well, the little fucker's right, you know. Like, what can you say? So that was my first instance of me remembering, you know, doing something wild and crazy and basically having an authority figure tell me you can't do that, and me being like, oh no, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
You taught the teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the best thing.
And I knew I was right. I was just taking advantage of the fact that I knew I was right and setting this whole scene up for her to create this interaction for me to tell her, no, we're going to cut them out. It doesn't matter.
That's pretty masterful right there.
Yeah.
I like it.
So that was like my earliest memory, but I'm always wanted to be creative in some way and was always looking for some avenue or facet to be. And I wasn't able to get into the pottery class or the art class in middle school. You know, they have a limited enrollment and the teachers are choosing who they allow in, but I did get into wood shop, and that was my first experience working with tools and making something, you know, with my hands.
Yeah, I did the wood shop.
Yeah.
That was a big that helped me working on houses. I mean, it got me loving working with wood, no pun intended. The wood shop, I think I built a birdhouse. My parents owned a bird store. I built a birdhouse in wood shop, and then it was like Nike child labor on. My dad brought sheets of plywood, and I was making birdhouses for that fucking bird store. I fucking hate birds because of that store. But yeah, I mean, wood shop can be a big influence.
Yeah,
you know.
And we were pretty poor growing up, so hand-me-down clothes, rice and milk for breakfast.
Yeah.
So didn't have a lot of opportunity to express myself that way growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I just found little ways that I could, just trying to find some way to leave a mark somewhere, or getting bullied and picked on, and I wanted something to, just leave my mark, or hey, look what I did.
Yeah.
I remember at 9 years old, our property was butted up against a huge wooded section on the outskirts of Astoria, and I used to pack a lunch with Top Ramen and go hiking out in the woods on the weekend, and I found out that if you take a shovel and you whack a tree hard enough with the side of the shovel blade, you can take chips out of it like an axe. Uh-huh. And I would go find a big giant fir tree and just go work on it all day, and then pack it up, go home, pack another ramen for lunch, go back out the next day and keep working on that tree. And I was like 9 at this time, and I was falling really big fir trees, like big enough to kill me for sure.
Yeah.
If an adult had been doing that, the city of Astoria would be charging them.
Yeah.
Crimes. But I would go spend days working on a tree just to watch it fall.
Yeah.
And I felt like for me, it was like, yeah, I did that. Look at that. Look what I did.
Yeah.
I did that. I was
accomplishment.
Just trying to leave a mark. And even at a young age, having the wherewithal to plug away at something for a period of time with an end goal in sight was something I'd always been interested in doing. So moving on into high school, got into band, was selected to play the trumpet, and brought the trumpet home and was immediately told, you're not playing that trumpet in the house, right? So can't practice the trumpet, so sucked at the trumpet. And I would come into class and I would suck because I couldn't practice, and I was getting laughed out of class. So I just stopped going to class. I was skipping band class, and I would go sit in the woods with my trumpet in the case just by myself, just like waiting for the next period. And so the music wasn't going to happen. Unfortunately, I didn't have the environment at home to be conducive to helping foster that.
Yeah.
So it turned into like poetry and drawing and just some other way. It was always some way to express myself.
Yeah.
And that all high school got into sports and kind of got away from the arts. But as soon as I bought my first house, I wanted to learn how to remodel it. So I started accumulating tools, and I was commercial fishing at the time. But when I had time off, I'd go like get a job with my buddy who was doing flooring and learn how to do flooring. So then I learned carpet, tile, hardwood, and then once creativity. I was like always trying to find a creative outlet for something too, or problem solving. I remember I just wanted to replace one window in my house, and no window guy in town would do it.
Yeah,
they want the whole job doing all the windows. Yes. So I end up finally, like after the sixth call, talk to a guy, and he tells me no, and I'm like, man, who can I call to just install this one window? Everybody keeps turning me down.
Yeah.
And the guy finally relents and says, you know what? Like, okay, I'll come do it for you. So he comes to install the window, and I watch him do it, and I said, okay, now I'm going to order all my other windows and slider from you. And he goes, oh, great, when do you want me to put them in? I said, no, I'm going to put them in. You just showed me how to do it. I said, but I'll buy them from you so you get the, something, so you get the business.
Yeah.
And he kind of looked at me. He looked at me the same way my kindergarten teacher looked at me. He was like, oh, you fucker.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But, problem solving and being creative and finding ways to solve problems.
Yeah.
It's always been like one of my skills. And the remodeling the house, commercial fishing, getting into commercial fishing, you have to be like a part electrician, welder, refrigeration guy.
Yeah.
And then you start working on the bigger boats, like the big Seattle boats. Then you start seeing professional vendors coming on board, and you see guys that have been welding for 20 years or pipe fitters or electricians, and you see the work they do. You're looking at someone who's been in the craft for 20 years, and they do good work. And you see how precise they are, you know, when someone's good at what they do. And that kind of just bleeds in to all these skill sets that I've been accumulating and developing. So, at motorcycling, I'd always like, first thing I do is like change the look of my motorcycle.
Yeah.
Like completely different. If it was a red Honda, like I was going to make it completely different. Custom graphics kits, and different parts. And like I was making it mine,
Yeah.
And I've always been that way and done that. And where this landed with the bottle cap thing was that I was at New Orleans Jazz Fest, and I had gone to a Saturday market, and at the Saturday market there's this gal that made hats, and she made really, really fancy, exquisite hats, like in the $400 to $600 range.
Yeah.
And over in the corner of her booth, I looked down and I saw what looked like a little boredom piece that she had done. That was just like PBR. It was like a PBR fish.
Yeah.
And I saw the concept of using, I was looking to see if I have a picture of it here. I saw the concept of using bottle caps for scales and using the cans for the fins. And it was really rudimentary, but like the concept, it was like a flash.
Yeah.
It was like a fucking strike of lightning. I was like, holy shit, beer, fish, bottle caps, scales, like art, fisherman. And I was like, I'm a fisherman. I know fish.
Yeah.
Like I can take this home and expand on this. So I went home and immediately started buying fat tires because I knew what kind of fish I wanted to make.
Yeah.
And started saving the caps, and it took, the smaller fish are like 120 caps. So it took me a while to drink all those 6-packs.
Yeah.
And I made the fish and did a great job, loved it, and hung it on my wall, and that was that.
Yeah.
That was all I was going to do. But then people started coming over and seeing it, and friends started telling me, where'd you get that? I said, I fucking made it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, can you make me one? And I'm like, you better save me the caps. I ain't drinking 120 whatever beer you want, So people, like, there was so much response and request when people were seeing that fish. I was like, man, I got to start making these. So I just started making them. That coincided with me dating and living with a girl who had pretty bad anxiety. So she never really liked to go do things.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a fitting union for me to, kind of try to make this relationship work with her. And I found something to do in the garage and just started pumping out art. And I was pumping out, I did a bunch, did over 50 pieces, and
whoa,
they kept getting bigger, and I started getting commissions. So I had to get more creative with the pieces. And, the more you do, the more you get into something, the more ideas you have. It was Picasso that said, wow, what was it? He said, inspiration is everywhere, but it only finds you when you're actually busy working.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, right. Like you can't sit around and not do it, and all of a sudden you're inspired.
Yep.
You're inspired when you're continuously working and continuously going through the motions, and then while you're in it, you have an idea. You go, oh, I'm going to do different this time. I'm going to do this a little different this time.
Yeah.
I'm going to. Oh, you know what? You know what would look really cool on here instead of this is this other material. So it just like over time doing all these pieces, it kept morphing into something different, and my ideas of what was possible kept expanding.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and started getting into collecting. So started collecting caps, and just started pumping out tons of sea life, like king crab and all kinds of fish and tuna and everything else.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How do you flatten? I mean,
so this was also part of the story, is that when I first started doing this, I was just basically with a rubber mallet smashing them on a piece of metal.
Oh my god!
And when you do that, the caps want to curl in under themselves. The edges curl in under themselves. So you end up with this kind of a thick wafer. And that's all my original pieces were like that. And eventually I decided I wanted to get them flat. Because I'd seen other people doing, other people working with the same style of texture. And in my mind, I was like, okay, this isn't good enough. I want to get them flat. So I didn't. There was a bunch of experimentation, but what I ended up with was a 1 3/8 truck ball hitch welded to an arbor press that I could go ka-ch,
oh my gosh,
and it flares it out because the ball is the perfect shape. I had to get the right size ball. I had to experiment with that, but I found the ball that was the right size. And when you center the cap perfectly and press it, it flares the edges out.
Yeah.
Once the edges are flared out, then I found a little machine that people use in the quilting world, I guess, for whatever embossing is. I don't even know, pressing images or dies and stuff, but it's a big roller, and I could stack 25 of them on a plate with UHMW and run them through there, and then they come out flat at the other end, and then I get flat.
That's amazing.
So 2-stage process, a lot of experimentation, little gadgets. I've spent a lot of money trying to make things, special tools.
I can't imagine how long it took before you had that process down.
Yeah.
Doing each one of those with a mallet and then.
Yeah. Man. Well, at some point in time, like that, and that came from working on boats, was efficiency. When you're a commercial fisherman, you're trying to get the job done. You're not getting paid by the hour. So you're trying to be as efficient as possible with everything you do. So that was just a mindset for me. Eventually, when I started making enough, I was like, okay, I need to make something here because this ain't gonna work.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to.
That process is still ongoing too. I just recently tried to make a machine. I got a pneumatic air punch. It was for leather working, and had a big giant jig made with 3/4 inch steel plate, and I welded 24 ball hitches to it. I wanted one big giant ball hitch to flare 25 at a time,
Yeah.
Spent a bunch of money. I spent probably, between the welding and all the ball hitches, the machine itself was like $1,000. I spent like $2,000 trying to get this thing going.
Yeah.
And then laid all the caps out in the first attempt. Didn't flatten any of them. Didn't flare any of them. It didn't have enough power.
No kidding.
Because all the force is made for a single punch through leather. So it's 1,700 pounds on a single pinpoint.
Oh,
but when you distribute that over 25 different ball hitches that all have 1 3/8 flat space on them, you're dispersing so much of the force that it can't even flare the caps.
Yeah.
And I was like, trash. You know what I mean? All that effort and time and getting my buddy's welding and all this and get it all together and like turn it on and then
nothing later.
Nothing. And then like, now what am I going to do with this? It's useless. But you can't cry about it. You throw it in the trash and you fucking move on.
Is there anything you could do with it? Tortilla press.
Unless there's a leather worker. I asked a couple friends that did leather, and they were like, I can't use that. It's more for like mass production punch, like if you're doing belts to punch the holes, or it's for mass production leather workers.
I'm sorry that didn't work out. What a great idea, though.
That's life, Yeah. You have obstacles, and when it doesn't work out, you move on.
Yeah.
You have to have that attitude,
Yeah, great attitude to have, my man.
Yeah,
definitely. Are there any other materials you've done any art with other than the bottle caps?
So I've not really. I've like basically been integrating to keep unity with the pieces. I've been either the beer cans or the 6-pack boxes or the bottle caps themselves. When I was doing the fish, I was using either beer cans or 6-pack boxes to make the fins, and then using the bottle caps as the scales. And that was kind of how it's been. And I had people make a special request for something. Like a guy wanted me to do a piece for an auction. He was a lineman. And I was like, I've been doing fish the whole time. And I just said, yes, I can do it.
Yeah.
And then sat in my garage going, how the fuck am I going to do this? So I had to figure out how to take my style and make something completely different with it. And that's when I started like integrating different materials. I think I used like a paint stir stick and cut it in half and wrapped it in caps to make the telephone pole.
Oh my gosh.
Then flatten the caps and then cut and shape the caps to make like the little boots and then the dude's legs and then his body and his torso. And then I put and I used a white cap to put a white cap on them, and then learned about, that was when I learned about, you start picking up different things that you learn too about perspective and distance.
Yeah.
So the power lines were farther away at the top of the piece because you're trying to portray 3D on a 2D plane, right?
Yeah.
How do you do that? And it seems simple when you look at something, but when you're actually trying to create something, you have to think about these concepts that you've never thought about before.
Yeah.
So like how to make the power lines do, I was like, okay, they're wide up here and they get narrower in the back, and then you create that 3D distance on basically a 2D plane. So like I made this piece, and when I got done, I was like, fuck, you look at that. Like, I did it.
That's amazing.
This is something that I at the time had no concept of, because I'd only been making fish. So that kind of opened the door to like, oh wow, well, like really, if you're creative enough, like you can do anything. You can do anything. So then I just started telling people, yeah, I can do anything. Yeah, I sure, commission. Yeah, sure, I can do that. Can you do a Los Angeles Lakers logo? Yeah, I can do anything.
That is the best attitude.
And just knock it out and just figure out how to do it.
Okay, believe in yourself, dude.
Yeah,
like, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
and
awesome. Once you, I think people struggle with this too, but once you build a big enough data set of accomplishments, you have to be able to trust in yourself. Like once you've accomplished enough, why wouldn't you be able to?
Definitely.
Like look back at what you've done. Like sure, you might be nervous moving into a new realm or a new idea or trying something a little more difficult, but look at what you've already done, and then just walk through the door. You'll figure it out. And then you look back on it and you be like, man, why was I even worried about that? Yeah. And that's typically how it's gone. And I mean, I'm still pushing my boundaries now. I've got a piece I'm working on right now that I've probably it's painted out, it's ready to go. And I've probably spent cumulative total 3 hours just standing there staring at it, asking myself, how the fuck am I going to do this? I'm just trying to work it out in my head ahead of time and being like, man. And then like eventually just like, all right, well, just start putting the caps down. You're going to figure it out. Yeah. But you thought about it enough. It's like, it's just time to stop stalling. Yeah. And it's like time to just get to work. Let's do it.
Once you start getting them down, does it just start flowing or?
Yeah. You start figuring it out.
Yeah.
It's easy. Like it's easier to sit there and think about it and worry about it than it is to just start doing the work.
Yeah.
Cause then like now you're committed. The work's happening. And you're having to make adjustments and figure it out.
You have to make it happen.
In real time, yes. Like, while you're doing it, like here you go. Like it's time to just do it.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at now. Other materials, I've incorporated lights into pieces. I did a Seahawks piece for a friend of mine, and he was going to mount it on the front of his RV. So I made the Seahawks logo, and he was like, "Oh, you know what? This would be really cool if you could put lights in it. Can you put lights in it?" And I was like, Yeah, I could do that. Just saying yes again. Yeah, sure, I'll figure it out. You know. So I had to do the research and found EL wire, and the EL wire you can bend and manipulate enough that I was able to outline the Seahawks logo in 2 different colors.
Oh wow!
And I found a green LED trailer light to put in its eye, and then laced it all out in blue and white, and I hooked it up to like a 12-volt.
Yeah.
So. That's the piece right there.
That is fucking insane.
Right?
Can we try to put that up there? See if I can get it up here.
Yeah, so up above you can see that's what it looked like when he had it on the front of his RV, and we wired it into his 12 volt. So when he was driving down the road, he could push a button and turn it on, or push a button and turn it off.
That is amazing, dude.
And that was like the first incorporation of lights. Like, oh sure, yeah, let's put lights in it. Yeah, of course, people love lights. Like, this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
So that was the first time really branching out, like away from the standard materials that I was using, and then little things like the knives for teeth on the anglerfish. And then
awesome.
I found this little fairy light that just slowly strobes. They use them for weddings and venues and stuff.
Brilliant, dude.
Yeah. So
That
there's
is perfect.
like research. The internet helps a lot with this, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, where can I find a small strobing light? Well, it turns out they make them. They're called fairy lights, and they use them at weddings. So I bought a box of them. I was like, all right.
Yeah,
there
I
we
love
go.
the internet, man.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That Seahawks, I have never seen. I couldn't imagine going down the road and seeing that coming up on me from behind, a big rig. Yeah, it's just badass.
Yeah, it was sick.
That is sick.
It was fun. It was a fun install, and he's drilling holes in the front of his RV.
Oh,
and it's like, yeah, right. And we're waterproofing it, mounting it, wiring it in. It was fun. It was a fun project.
Do you have a favorite piece? One that you just is your.
It's probably, right now, probably the Amy Winehouse, just because
That is so amazing.
Because I'm at the as far as my history goes right now, I'm at my current pinnacle.
Yeah.
My progression arc right now is still really steep because I'm just starting these big ones, so they're just going to keep getting better.
Yeah.
But right now, every one continues to be better than the last.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. That Amy Winehouse, that's one where I just can't figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, you were asking about other materials. This is where I was leading with that.
Yeah.
Is that right now, currently, now that I'm doing these big mosaics, I've realized you can do this with any material. You can make a mosaic. You can cut it into little squares.
Yeah.
And have your shades and do your piece like with literally anything, right? So I started saving. I told the guys on the boat, save your rain gear. Don't be when you get holes in it and you're gonna throw it away, save it. So I've been saving all the old rain gear from the boat, and I take it home and wash it, and I stuff it into a bag. But you have black rain gear. You have these bright neon colors that they get faded and grease on them, and they get dirty as the season goes on. So after a couple months, you got like 3 different shades going on a jacket, and I've been saving all those. And at some point down the road, I'm going to cut all those into shreds and do like a salty old weathered fisherman with the beard and the sailor cap. And I'm going to do a big mosaic out of used fishing gear material.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
What a great idea.
Yeah.
I can't even, I'm going to go back to this intro. Creativity and sustainability. Man, when you're using people's throwaway rain gear, that's fucking next level. That's awesome, dude.
To make the fisherman, right? Like, it wouldn't be to make anything else. It'd be like look at this.
It's like the circle of life.
Exactly. People were like, what is that made of? Like, that's old fucking fishing gear from the boat. Like, hello.
I can't wait to see something like that. That is just amazing. So, how do you choose when somebody doesn't commission you? How do you choose what to work on? Do you have something that pops in your head?
So I've actually had, out of all the pieces I've done, I've probably done 75 to, I don't have a full count, but I've done a lot. But I've only had a handful of commissions, really. So even when I was making all the fish, I was just deciding what to make and what colors I wanted them to be. I would just think, oh, you know what? The first turtle was green, and you know what? This blue turtle would look cool, and then just make a blue turtle.
Yeah.
And I was just posting basically on Facebook through my friends group, being like, hey, I got this turtle for sale, and I couldn't make them fast enough. They were selling and selling and selling, and people were getting them in their hands, and when they'd actually see it, because a picture never does anything justice. Right?
Yeah.
So it was when the people would actually get the piece in their hands and see it, they would say, man, you're not charging enough for these. And I was like, what? I'm operating in a vacuum in my garage without any other influence or anybody else doing anything like this. I don't know how much I should be charging or how I should be pricing them at. And, you're so insecure, especially as an emerging artist, of what you're doing and what kind of value it has, that the only value you can determine is either you have really grandiose ideas that your shit's really awesome, or you continuously get people telling you ain't charging enough for these. Yeah. And so finally I was like, okay, so I bumped the price up $50.
Yeah.
And I'd keep selling them, and people would continue to tell me, "You're not charging enough for these."
Yeah,
I eventually like bumped them up $50 at a time until I got to a point to where they were still selling.
Yeah,
but I thought they were getting to a price point that was going to be a little bit too high for this area. But I nearly tripled my price from where I started.
That's so awesome.
As my pieces got better, with people continuously telling me, like, you ain't charging enough for these. And I was like, well, okay, $50 more then.
That feels good, and especially when you charge $50 more, and people are like, yep, I'll still take it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, other than the few commissions I have got, the stuff I've been making is just stuff I wanted to make, which I think is a great place to be in.
Yes.
Because then you're being able to express your own creativity, and that's where the artist really comes out. When you start getting locked into commissions, you're doing things that other people want, and then you're not doing unless you're blocking out time so you can work on your own passion piece. You're locked into what other people want. So
you're hitting one group of something.
Right.
I totally get what you're saying there.
Yes, when I got my sleeves done for my tattoos, I kind of had concepts of what I wanted, but I basically told the artist, like, have at it. Like, this is kind of what I want.
Yeah.
But I wasn't bringing her in pictures from the internet saying, I want this.
Yeah.
Because I wanted her style to come through.
Originality.
In my art. Yeah. So when I said mermaid, this is the mermaid she came up with. And I was like,
oh, it's brilliant.
Perfect. Like, because that Melissa shows up when you look at this tattoo.
Did you get that done around here?
Yeah. She's down in Night Beach at Sea Serpent Saloon.
Oh, that's a great place.
Yeah, and when I asked for a crab, this was her crab concept.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It doesn't look like, it's not a Dungeness crab, it's not a king crab. This is just her concept of a crab.
Yeah.
So like, I'm all about letting an artist run free with what they want to do, which is, I think, where any artist wants to be. You know, like as soon as you start getting locked into commissions, then you're beholden to making what people want. And I'm not there yet. I'm not even close to there yet, but I've already told myself when that does happen, I'm going to make sure I have blackout times for me to work on what I want.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, when you get, if you get popular enough and you get enough demand, the dream of any artist is to just make what you want, and people will want to buy it because, oh my God, what's he going to make next?
Yeah.
And then it's just available. And here, if you want this, you can buy it.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
But you have to go through, you got to get popular enough that people will work with that model. But that's where I'd like to be. I'd like to just be doing, I have so many crazy ideas. I have more ideas than time.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Blocking out time sounds like the best way to go.
Yeah, you have to.
Especially, it seems like if you were to not block out you time, you're going to end up going down a road where it's just a job.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? Who wants your passion to become a job?
Exactly.
So
it's still going to be a job, because if you go full-time artist, you do have to make money, but you still need to set some time aside, because you'll mentally, you're not getting to do what you want to do, and you stray further and further away from what got you started doing it in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So right now with like the Biggie and the Amy and the Bowie, those are just pieces I wanted to do because they are some of my favorite musical influences.
Yeah. Biggie. Oh my God. It's so awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's so good. I just heard some other podcast was having a Who Is Better, Biggie or the Beatles.
Oh, wow.
Who would you choose?
Well, I mean, I wasn't alive through the Beatles' influence, so I don't know what kind of societal influence they had. You see the way the crowd reacted when Elvis was playing, and it's like other than Michael Jackson, that hasn't happened ever since.
Yeah.
So how could you deny that influence? I mean, you had girls crying and fainting on the ground.
Yes.
Like, that's something special.
At the side of them.
Right? Yeah. And nothing like that these days. People, I don't think there will ever be anything like that again, because music was in such a fast and strong evolutionary pace at that point in time, that to have someone like that come along and create that effect, was almost towards like the infancy of pop culture music, which I don't think will ever happen again.
Oh, agreed.
Because we're inundated with so many choices with music now that kind of social influence I don't think will ever be replicated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you go back, who's bigger, who's there? Well, look at the social influence they had. And I think if you go back to the Beatles and Elvis, like, they've got to be the kings. They have to be, you know?
Yeah.
Hendrix, another one.
Right.
Was Eric Clapton showed up and saw Hendrix play and was like, oh my God, I have to quit playing guitar. He walked out of a show that they brought Hendrix on to play, and Clapton walked off the stage and was back smoking a cigarette, and he just quit. And then his buddy came out and he's like, what's going on? And he was, you told me he was good, but you didn't tell me he was so fucking good.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm out of here. I can't even play with this guy.
It would make you look bad.
Yeah.
I mean, whoever you are, you're not going to look good when you go up against that.
No. So, you know, there's only been a few people that create that strong of a social influence. And I think that's why, you know, some of these artists really resonate. Like, when as an artist you can create something that doesn't just resonate with the people that are in your genre, but when it spreads throughout the whole country and then starts spreading throughout the world, you as an artist have tapped into some type of collective subconscious like dopamine trigger, and you've influenced the whole world. Like, what a cool thing to be able to do.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Very few people can do that.
That's, you know, it's like doing this. I started this just to do something, and the first episode was so stupid, but we laughed so hard. And then everybody laughed, and you know, they laughed how stupid it was. Well, whatever you're laughing for,
right?
You're laughing because I made you laugh,
right? Still laughing,
you know? And so I totally get that. Like, that's what I want to do. If something happened with this, that'd be great. If it didn't, am I making laugh still? Because that's what I want to do.
Right.
You know, that gets me happy.
Yeah. And you're doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the birth of any artistic endeavor. Is you're literally like you can't foresee where it's going to go. I think if you're trying to start something with the intent of it be like monetizing it, then you're in it for the wrong reasons, and I don't think the authenticity will show through.
I agree.
I mean, the people that are successful are the people that are doing it because it's really what they want to do and what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
And I think those are the people that end up being successful, and people see that and they want to copy paste it. And it's like, you can't, because you're not him.
Yeah.
And you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. You know, and a lot of people don't like him, but 1 second, Joe Rogan did this podcast where he talked about being your own superhero. Be the superhero in your own movie. And that is what made me do this, is that podcast and listening to him talking about doing what he enjoyed. And it didn't matter what other people thought.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter what it did, whatever, as long as you felt good. If you were the superhero in your movie. And I was like, you know, fuck yeah. And I think it was like 3 days later I bought the name. Went online, bought the name, the website, did all that. So if I ever wanted to, it was there. And then within weeks I had a hair up my ass. It was crazy. And it was great because, I mean, I've only been doing this for a little while. And when I met you the first time, and I heard about your journey you were taking, it fucking blew my mind. And when you said, look me up, you know, and I looked you up and I saw all the art you were doing, just fucking amazing, amazing stuff. That's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. You do it because you love it. And eventually people will follow. You will be able to make what you want. And people will buy it.
Yeah.
Because you're so fucking artistic and talented. People will want that. You know?
Yeah. So that's the plan. I mean, that I've already seen and envisioned in my mind where I can take this. And I like, now that I've had the response that I've had, like, my ambitions just went through the roof.
Yeah.
My ambitions are like through the roof now. You know, I had someone else kind of in the art fashion industry see what I was doing and show some belief in me and tell me, hey, you can take this big. Like, you don't have to just be doing this in your garage selling them in Newport. Like, we can like get you really paid, like enough to where you can quit fishing.
That's awesome.
And like to have someone in the industry tell you that and believe in you and join the team and say, I'm going to help you get there. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do it.
That's awesome.
Like, let's do it.
So what when you go down that line, what opportunities have come up since since you started, I don't know how to say it, since you started a pace towards it being the thing?
Yeah, that's really just started this year, and most of the year had been just me getting the Amy and the Biggie done. So it's like a month to get those done, and then I made a bunch of fish and a bunch of Miami centric pieces, knowing I was going to Art Basel in Miami. So most of it has just been production, but recently getting to Miami and going to Art Basel, some opportunities, smaller opportunities opened up there. Not probably a $10,000 commission if I wanted it. Another guy said he'd be willing to spend $5,000 on something.
Wow.
And a distillery and brewery in Europe, they had a rep there that was he was one of the sponsors for the event that I was showcasing at, and he loved my work and said, hey, I'd love to work with you in some way, some manner.
Yeah,
let's get something figured out, whether it's making a piece for us or getting you some caps. It's like I love what you're doing, and I think it'd be really great for the brand. So that's just my first show. Obviously, it was at the largest art fair in the U.S.
Yes.
Potentially the world, because I think it's bigger. I think it draws more of an attraction than the Basel in Switzerland even does.
Oh, wow.
So the volume of people going through there, is high volume, a lot of artists. So to get the reception that I had there was great. When I did get home, I didn't contact either of those people that wanted commissions, because I have 2 other pieces I'm working on that I expect to propel me farther than I hate to say it, but I don't want to waste my time working on a $10,000 commission for someone when my plans, I have these 2 golden eggs sitting here in my garage, and I have bigger plans for those that are more valuable to me than a $10,000 commission.
Yeah.
Like my mind is with the help of my agent. And
you have to be that
right.
way.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm shooting for the stars.
Yeah. And just, I mean, you look at the work, dude, again, because it's so fucking amazing. If I'm commissioning you and you go, I can't do it for 6 months, I'm not going to give a shit.
Right.
I'm going to wait.
Right. Exactly.
So I think that's the right attitude to have. And me as a customer, when I hear that you're going to go, hey, you know what, I'm going to put this $10,000 guy off so I can finish your piece. Like, that makes me feel good as a customer. So I think that's great. I think that's awesome you're doing that.
Yeah. Well, I have a very concrete idea of where I want to go and what I'm doing. So I'm not letting anything else right now slow that down.
I like it. What, when you were talking about the people, giving you, whether you're making a piece for them or they're giving you bottle caps, how do you get all your bottle caps? I mean, do you have a lot of drinking buddies?
I do. I got quite a few people saving them for me, but initially when I had friends asking me to make things, and I was telling them, you got to save the caps, that they weren't able to, you start thinking about, a piece that's 2 feet wide by 1 feet tall, has about 120 caps in it. That's a lot of 6-packs you have to drink to make one fish.
That is a lot.
It's a lot. It takes a lot. And when you tell somebody, I can make you something, but you got to save the caps, and they say, okay, how many caps do I need? I say, about 150. All of a sudden, they're not so interested in having a piece anymore,
Yeah.
But I knew the opportunity was there, so what I started doing was I loaded up my truck. I had 6, 7 pieces with me, and I loaded them up in my truck, and then I spent like 4 solid days driving to every single bar in Lincoln County.
Oh my gosh.
And bringing my stuff in and saying, hey, here's what I make. Like, would you be interested in a commission or at least saving me caps? And found people that were interested enough in what I was doing that were willing to just help me out. And they started saving me caps. And that began my journey of establishing relationships with places that would save me caps. And anybody that I would make them. I would contact the owner. Can't be the bartender because bartenders come and go.
Yeah.
The manager, managers sometimes come and go, or they don't care, and they're not going to help you out.
Yeah.
But if you can get the owner involved, then the owner can tell everybody, yes, you're saving us.
Whoever they're filtering through is going to
exactly.
Keep caps.
Right, exactly. So I started developing relationships with places and making them something specific for them, and they started saving me caps. One of the funny stories during that time, going out basically cold calling businesses, was I went into Shark's restaurant when it was still on the Bayfront.
Yeah.
And I went in there and I was like, it's a husband and wife that own the place. and the wife's up front, the husband's in back cooking. And I said, hey, I make these out of bottle caps. Do you guys happen to save your bottle caps? And the husband, his head popped up from behind me, and he said, I told you. And she's rolling her eyes. He's like, she was telling me to just throw these out today. But I said, no, somebody's going to come in for these. Somebody's going to want these. He had boxes and boxes of caps that he'd been hoarding for years.
Oh my gosh.
And the wife had been telling him to throw them away, and he'd been saving them because he knew somebody was going to want them. And and that guy showed up.
That's
and he
awesome.
I was on my motorcycle at the time, and I was like, oh man, I got to come back with my truck, because he just started bringing boxes out. He's like, yeah. I was like, whoa, I'm on my motorcycle. I'll be right back there. I got to go get my truck. And he had years and years of caps.
That poor guy. Well, that poor woman was probably never able to get anything out of her garage after that moment. Everything was saved for a fucking purpose. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, really cool. Not very few places do. Usually I'll go in and they'll have a little metal hanger there under the cap opener.
Yeah.
They drop them in there, but when that gets full, they just throw them away.
Yeah.
Not very many people are saving them. Occasionally people are. I've reached out on Facebook and put a post out showing my work and saying, hey, I know sometimes people are holding caps and they don't know what they're going to do with them, or they think they're going to make a table. And those people, I had a pretty big response to that post, and had a bunch of people like, oh man, yeah, I do have all these caps. Me and my friends have been saving these for years, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but like, wow, look at what you're doing. Like, you need these more than I do. Right. So I had a lot of caps from the community, and then through that post, enough people saw it because it kind of went viral in the community that people like outside of the area in different bars around Portland, or people that knew people that were bartenders, were like, my friend's saving them for you. My friend's saving them for you.
So would you have to go on a road trip?
No, well, they're either mailing them to me, or if they have enough volume. Like one of the gals in Salem is a nurse that works with my mom at the penitentiary, and she frequents 2 different bars in Salem and talked to both of all her bartender friends in Salem to start saving them for me. So my mom shows up at my house one day, knocks on my door, and she's holding this Safeway bag that's overflowing with Ziploc baggies full of. She's like, oh, here, I got these for you. And I'm like, where did you get these? She goes, oh, my coworker, she's got people in Salem. She's got bartenders in Salem saving them for you. And I was like, how long, and I was thinking back to when I made the post, and it had only been like 6 weeks, and she had already a giant Safeway bag full. And I'm like, oh my God. So like the more people find out about what you're doing and see what you're doing, the generosity of the community is really what's keeping this alive, right? Because I can't do this without them.
That amount of
you know what I mean?
I would.
Millions of bottle caps are being thrown away across this country every day.
Yeah,
and I wish I could get them all to come to my house.
So that's a good call right there.
Yeah.
How could we get people to send bottle caps to you?
Yeah, I need to set up some type of community collection center. I already tried at the liquor store, but the owner there he wasn't interested in helping. So
really,
no. I need to get somewhere where I can place a barrel with my logo and sign and have like a cap donation, because there's a lot of times I've gone fishing in Alaska for 6 weeks. I'm not home because I'm driving around the county meeting people like, oh, hey, where you at? I'll come get them right now. But when I've gone fishing, people have asked, where can I go drop these off at? So I'm just giving them my address, which probably isn't the safest thing to do when you're gone fishing, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm gone for 6 weeks. Like,
just leave them at the door.
Yeah, right. I'd rather not do that. So I need to set up some kind of collection here in town where someone would be willing to make a donation space for me.
That is awesome. I'm going to ask around, dude.
That'd be great. I would love that'd be great
for Newport.
I thought the liquor store would be a great idea because it ties into what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if my community is coming through the door to donate caps, then he's got potential customers coming through the door that wouldn't normally be there. And I thought that would be a win-win, but he's.
I know of a local brewery. When I go up in the pub to have a drink, which I don't drink alcohol, so I'm just giving props. So when I go up into the pub to have a drink, I see some fish up there. That I'm told are made by you. That place might be the place to go and talk to a guy who happens to have almost the same name as me.
Okay.
And be like, hey. And if you point to your shit, on board, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
We can make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to do that.
That's awesome. God, just to have some rando show up with 1 million fucking bottle caps to your house.
Yeah. And another gal that works in a more professional setting. I'm not sure exactly where she works. She works for a multinational company, but she's got her friends in Germany saving her caps and mailing them to her from Germany and Australia, and she's sending them to me.
Holy crap! So do you get a varying different? I don't know if I can how to say it. A very
Well, typically, see, this is the hard part. Is I probably have 120,000 caps in my garage,
mm-hmm.
and I sort by color. And even though I have that kind of volume, like I would say predominantly like 60% of that is all basic domestics. So I have a buttload of Coors Light, I have a buttload of Bud Light, and a bunch of Budweisers. So red, silver, and blue, I have a ton of.
Yeah.
But the different colors, you start to learn that they get harder to acquire. Like purple's really hard to acquire. Orange is difficult to acquire. Got quite a few yellows. Whites are hard to acquire. Skin tones are really hard to acquire. For that Amy piece, I found a guy on eBay in London. I wanted to get some London caps because that's where she's from.
Yeah.
So I found a guy I was cruising eBay UK
that was awesome.
and found a guy in London that was selling bottle caps, but he wouldn't ship to the US. So I sent him pictures of my work, and I was like, hey man, here's what I'm doing. I want to make an Amy Winehouse piece, but I'd like to, you're from London. It's like, I see you don't ship to the US. Like, will you please ship me those? And he was like, good work. He's like, hell yeah. Like, boom.
Man, that's awesome.
Like, of course, I'll help you out. So it's like, got the London specific pieces to put into the Amy piece. And a lot of people like on Etsy, sometimes there's people on eBay and Etsy selling caps. Like people have found out there's a market for these for crafters.
Yeah.
And I went through, I've been through a whole 10-year journey just on bottle cap bartering on eBay, bro.
Yeah.
Just like fighting with people on eBay, like, oh no, it's 6 cents a cap. That's way too much. Like, no, 3 cents a cap. Come on. And they're just sitting on them. And a lot of times they're not selling. You'll see the same listing for years. I'm like, all right, you know what? I've seen your listing for 4 years now. You ready to sell those or what?
Oh my God.
Because some people are sitting on 20 pounds, big giant tub of caps, but they want a ridiculous amount of money for them. And I'm like, bro, that's garbage. And somebody like me that's actually working with bottle caps, I know that a good deal is like 2 to 3 cents a cap, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm buying in bulk volume, 2 to 3 cents a cap. That's what you're going to get. You can't break these up into lots of 100 bottle caps and try selling them for $20. It ain't going to fucking happen.
Do you tell them that stuff and they're still like, no?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, and sometimes they're just like, well, make me an offer, and then I'll calculate what 3 cents a cap is, and I'll make them an offer, and they'll sell them to me.
Yeah, damn,
but I've been through this. Other people. There's a gal on eBay called the Cap Queen, and her whole shtick is going around like collecting bulk caps from breweries that are going out of business, or somehow she's found an avenue where she can find them before they hit eBay, and she's on eBay. It's like she's selling volume. So like I know who all the big bottle cap sellers are on eBay.
Yeah.
I know where they're at around the country. I know what the going price is for a bottle cap. I know where they can be found. And the reason I cruise eBay is one is for my ambitions right now are so large for what I plan in the future that I need a lot more caps.
Yeah.
My future pieces are going to be like 14,000 caps in one piece.
Okay.
And I can't do that with red, blue, and silver.
So let's work on getting you that bottle drop off, and then we can figure it out, and I'll just keep announcing it every time we have a podcast.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Get people to drop them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Donate the bottle caps, everyone. Drink like fish and donate the bottle caps for art.
I need all the caps from the U.S., all of them coming to my house.
All of them.
Right to my house.
Your friends,
That'd
your
be
moms,
great.
your parents. Roll people out of the gutters. If you see a bum having a beer and it was a bottle of beer, ask him for that cap.
Yeah.
Just
when
saying.
When you're at the bar, ask him, can I have your caps?
I'm just saying.
I was just when I was up in Seattle working on the boat recently, I was at a Mongolian grill restaurant, and I asked the waitress, hey, do you guys save your bottle caps? And she told me, oh, no, we throw them away. And I was like, oh, man, that's a shame. And I'm always like, I'm starting to learn how to network now, because I've worked on a boat for 20 years where you just talk to the same people for months. So I'm learning how to like network myself. So she told me no, but I still am like, oh yeah, well that's a shame because look what I make. And I showed her the Amy Winehouse, and she was like, oh my God, that's beautiful. She goes, hold on, let me go see. And then she leaves.
Yeah.
And then she comes back with a baggie full of. She went and got the little metal thing and dumped it. And
oh my gosh.
the first answer was no. Right.
Yeah.
But as soon as I showed her,
Look at you getting that buy-in.
right?
Yeah.
As soon as I showed her what I was doing, like
Yeah.
all of a sudden the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, oh, that's how this works. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
So now I'm just like, look at this, here's what I'm doing.
Had you not shown her your art, she would have been like, hey, see this fucking guy over here?
These fucking weirdos asking for
Fucking
bottle caps
bottle
over
caps,
here.
man.
This guy came in here for Mongolian food and he wants bottle
Yeah.
caps. What is going on with this dude?
Yeah.
Look at his hair.
Right.
There's something up with this guy.
Well, thank goodness you decided to show her the pictures. And that's awesome, being able to get buy-in like that.
Yeah.
And when people see your art and are willing to go above and go back and look,
Yeah.
I mean, the feeling you must get knowing that somebody enjoyed the 2 seconds that you've showed them enough
Mhm.
for them to go find something for you to use.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the beauty of art. Like when I was dating that girl with anxiety and making art, I had eventually got to a point where I was like, man, I gotta go do something. Like I gotta get out of here because like as much as I loved her and was trying to make the relationship work, it was a drag on me psychologically because I'm a real adventurous person.
Yeah.
And I had to get out of the house, and ended up buying a motorcycle and like doing a trip around the country.
Cool.
And when I came back, I was like, I had just traveled around the whole country, and everywhere I went, every place that I saw like couples enjoying their time, I was like, I'm never gonna have this.
Never gonna have it.
And it kind of solidified my decision to end the relationship after that trip. And then I started traveling. As soon as that relationship ended, it was like off to the races.
Yeah.
I saw an Instagram post for Costa Rica. There's a guy riding a dirt bike through the jungle, and I was like, I want to go ride dirt bikes in the jungle. So I just booked a trip, and I just went to Costa Rica and rented a dirt bike.
Holy
And
shit.
I was like, I'm with a backpack traveling through Costa Rica,
Holy shit.
riding, like doing what I wanted to do. And then I started traveling like to other places. Like I went to Jakarta, Indonesia, because I read that it had one of the worst traffic problems in the world. They have the metropolis area. There's like 19 million people, no traffic laws, and a bunch of scooters and bikes. You know where you see the wow, 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 wow. And I was like, I want to go do that.
Why?
So right, so
Why?
because that's the only place I could go ride like an asshole,
Yeah.
and nobody would get mad at me, right? Because
I love that
riding
answer.
around here, I'm going to get tickets for riding how I want to ride.
Yeah.
I was like, well, let me go to a third world country with 19 million people and no traffic laws. Then I can go have fun, right? Like then I can have fun on my motorcycle.
That's brilliant. That's some smart thinking right there.
Yeah. So I did that, and then went through like Philippines and Thailand, and I remember there were so many times that I was on my motorcycle having this like really profound experience, and all I wanted at those times was to share it with someone I cared about.
Yeah.
You know? And here I am riding solo on my motorcycle.
Yeah.
I fish in the Bering Sea. I get 6 months off a year. I have enough money and time to do literally whatever I want.
Yeah.
And I'm pursuing my passion, which is motorcycling, and I'm traveling around the world doing it.
Yeah.
But when the most fun I'm having, I'm wishing I could share it with someone else.
Yeah.
And there came a point in time where I was like, you know what? As much as I really like motorcycling, this is really self-serving.
Yeah.
I was like, the only person I'm making happy right now is me. And I was like, why are you doing this? I had this moment of reflection that I was like, what are you doing? Basically, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
You know? And I tried to like assuage that by telling myself that, the experiences that you have are changing you as a person, and you're bringing that back home to share with the people you care about. But it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough. And I finally realized, when you were really happy was when you were making art and sharing it with people.
Yeah.
When you had something to give back to the community and the world.
Yes.
That was more spiritually fulfilling than my masturbatory motorcycle trips around the world,
Yeah.
which is what that felt like,
Yeah.
So I finally decided, sold 3 of my motorcycles, hung up I haven't really hung it up entirely because it's still my passion,
Right.
but it's not what I'm spending all my time doing anymore. And I said, you know what? I want to start making art again.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm here where I am now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
God damn.
It took a bit for me to figure out. That's thousands of miles and thousands of trips around the country, but you when you know better, you do better, and you don't have those epiphanies.
You needed a fulfillment and that's what you needed. You stopped because you had what you needed.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
wanted
exactly.
to move on with what else you wanted to do and needed, and that's what you chose. You know,
Mhm.
that's awesome. That's a great story, dude.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. So many times I've thought, fuck it, I'm out of here. And gone and doing it. I just stayed home. You know. So, hey,
Yeah, I'm gonna smoke a joint instead.
That's all for you, buddy. I think that's absolutely awesome. Is there any advice you would give to anybody who is starting to want to work with unconventional materials?
I would say just keep plugging away at it, because this didn't just start with bottle caps. I went through a period where when social media became really prevalent, and for some reason I got really fixated on street artists.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Yeah.
It was like one of the first threads that I started following down the rabbit hole. And like now I know who all the big street artists are. And when I've traveled, I've seen their work in different places. You know, I've seen Tatonga in Cozumel and been like, oh my God, there's Tonga. Like, and recognize her work and see it. And then I see her in Miami and I'm like, oh, like it's so great. Like for me, that was like, to see an artist be able to travel the world and create these giant murals on buildings to share with all of society and do beautiful work and be able to like carve a niche out in life to do this, to travel and make art for other people to enjoy places like that. I was just fascinated with that. And so at that time I was like, I want to be a street artist, but I live in Newport, Oregon. Right? And I'm like, what the hell are you gonna do? You're gonna go get fucking caught by the cops spray painting in town? Like, what are you gonna go spray paint the prison? Like, there's no spaces here for that, you know, other than Wallet Night Beach that you can hide behind at nighttime.
Until someone's paying you, you're a tagger.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was doing things like, I don't even know how I came up with this idea. It's probably because you'll have to ask my therapist. It's probably because I'm a psycho. But I was wrapping my arms in newspaper and then wrapping them in packing tape to create the shape of an arm, and then I would cut them off and tape them back together, and then I would go find the trees I wanted to put them in, and I would spray paint them camouflage here's the camouflage theme coming back again all the way from kindergarten. I would spray paint them camouflage to match a tree, and then I would find somewhere in one of the parks here around town, and not right on the trail. It was always like a little bit off the trail. I would scale the tree a little bit and then staple the arms to the tree. So the trees had arms. And I was doing that like, I was like, this is like, how else can I be a street artist in an area where the predominant activity is outdoor activities? Like, I'm going to put arms in trees, you know? Yeah. It was just like my crazy idea of something to do and some way to express myself.
I can't even imagine how I'd feel if I was walking along and then noticed arms from the trees.
Right.
I might be scared. I don't know.
Well, and that was like, I watched this TED Talk once of a guy that did a lot of artwork that was really high, and like his, like the whole theory behind his concept was that now that we have these smartphones, everybody's looking down. So you're creating something it's like a little Easter egg for the people that are paying attention to the world around them. Right.
That's awesome.
And that really struck a chord with me. And I was like, oh, that's good, because they're not going to get found and torn down right away.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be, and that's why it was never right on the trail. It was always off a little ways and up in the tree. It was just for people that were looking around and like, oh shit.
Look at that camouflage. I mean, people
have to really be, otherwise it just looks like branches.
Yeah.
Right. So people would have to really be looking to see them. And I had a pair sitting up at the Agate Beach Wayside for a long time, like 7 years, because I could drive by. I could drive 101 during the winter when all the foliage was gone and look down and see that they're still there. Eventually, they probably got taken down, and that probably wasn't a good thing. It's a bunch of plastic tape waste, but it was me as a fledgling artist trying to express myself and trying to find some way to do it.
Yeah.
I was getting, anytime one of those little road deflectors, those little white road deflectors that are on the side of the road, if I saw that or a mailbox or a sign, anything that had been hit or was tilted or was ready to fall down, I'd go get a Barbie doll and I'd get a blowtorch or a heat gun and I would shape her limbs and I would like put glue in her hair to make her hair all wild and give her tattoos. Like maybe I'd change her clothes a little bit to make her look all crazy. And then I would go plant her in the ground with a string so it made it look like she was pulling the thing down,
Yeah.
those never lasted. Those were always gone like within a couple days.
Yeah.
Like those were the coolest ones.
That's the
probably
funniest thing.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like it's probably because they were the most visible, but they would disappear fast. And
Yeah.
that's why when I started doing the arms, I was like, okay, I need to get them. I need to set them off a little bit and put them out here.
Yeah, I would try to take that home. I
Yeah,
mean,
right?
That's awesome right there. That's
Yeah.
a great scene.
Yeah, little gnome doors. Just make a decorative little door, like really small.
Very
with
cool.
trim and put a little brass knob on it and paint it and then just like go glue it to a tree out on a trail, like off a trail somewhere, and sprinkle some pebbles and make it look like there's a walkway there.
Yeah.
Little stuff like that. Like that was me being a street artist in Newport.
That's awesome.
So, it's to some degree I'd always been playing with different things and materials.
Yeah.
And so when I saw the bottle cap fish, I was like, ding! Oh, I can do that.
Very creative.
Awesome.
Very creative.
Cool.
Yeah.
And a way that I can actually share it with the community, instead of like putting trash out in the state parks.
Yeah. We very much appreciate you not having trash in the state parks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine, people doing bottle cap how many bottle caps are not going into the waste, with how many people must be saving for friends or saving, that one guy who saved for all that time and just waiting for you to walk in.
Yeah.
Like there's got to be a few of those people around.
I know there are, because as few as there are listed on like Facebook Marketplace or eBay, there's tons of other people that are doing it. They're just not listed.
Yeah.
There's a guy sitting down somewhere in California around the Bay Area that has a giant tub. I mean, a giant tub. He's probably got 50,000 caps in this big giant Tupperware, and he's got it listed on Marketplace for $1. Yeah. He just wants an offer.
Yeah.
But he's not going to mail them. Right.
Oh,
It'd be like $400 in shipping, right? Like I pay more for shipping than I have for caps before.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens because you're buying in volume. You're shipping something cross country that weighs 50, 40 pounds. It's going to be a couple $100 in shipping. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some I'm like, all right, I have just like a little mental note. Check. Like if I'm ever driving down by Sacramento, I got to hit this dude up on Facebook because he's got 60 pounds of caps waiting for me.
Do you happen to have a map up somewhere that has like?
No, that would be fun. Yeah, little pins.
Little pins. That'd be awesome. That's awesome. So I got one real question left. What's the most surprising or unexpected reaction you've gotten to your art?
Oh, that one's easy. Because it just happened at Basel. When I was at Basel, so many people were coming and going, and everybody loved it. My pieces were sitting on two giant easels, the biggest easels I could find on Amazon. Barely hold my pieces because they're 6 feet tall. Damn. And they're really not made to hold that kind of weight. So it's kind of flimsy. But I knew there's a good place I could have them on the easel, which I would rather have. That way people can see the whole piece, because when you look at the backs of them, you can see a level of craftsmanship in the back as well, because I'm making my own frames out of aluminum angle iron, and I'm getting them either Cerakoted or powder coated.
Okay.
And then along the back, I have perfectly evenly spaced every 4 inches screws that are brass.
Yeah.
So the brass on the black really stands out.
Oh, yeah.
Gives it a nice look. And the screws are all recessed. I bevel recessed all the screw heads, so they're all flush.
Nice.
And when I was at Basel, there was a guy that was looking at the back of the piece, and I was watching him feel. He wanted to see if the screw heads were flush.
Yeah.
And he was feeling for how flush they were, And he calls me over, he goes, "Hey, come here. Look at the back of this. And I'm like, "Yeah, what?" And he goes, "Where'd you learn how to do this?" And I grinned. I was like, I've been a commercial fisherman in Alaska for 20 years, bro. And he goes, "Oh my God, that makes so much sense." And he goes, "I'm an aerospace engineer, and I just really appreciate the precision that you put into the back of this piece." And he said, "But I got to tell you, no one's going to see the back." And that's when I said, "Aha, the person who buys it is going to see the back."
Right.
And I want the person who buys it to know that the level of craftsmanship doesn't just stop at the front of this piece. It extends around the whole piece. I give a shit about every step in this process and everything that I'm doing. And I want a nice, clean, finished product that somebody can appreciate.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never thought about the customer seeing the back of it.
Yeah, well, a lot
I
of
mean,
times you look at art and it looks beautiful from the front, and the back looks like hot garbage, right? And,
Right.
And you're like, oh, I guess
Absolutely.
that's where your effort stopped.
Yeah.
But my mentality from working on boats is like every step in the process should be meticulous, and it should be clean.
Yeah.
And when the job is done, you don't want to have to come back and do it again.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And that's like my philosophy with everything I've done, and that's how I want it to be. When someone looks at the back, it looks like a piece of art too, you know?
Yeah.
They're like, holy shit, look at wow, this looks really cool.
Yeah,
Like,
that's pretty neat.
but no one's going to see this. Like, yeah, well, one, you just did,
Mm-hmm.
and you're appreciating it. But the person who buys it, when they spend 20 grand for one of my pieces, they're going to know they bought a complete piece of craftsmanship. It's not just gluing bottle caps to the front.
If Amazon sells, what do you call it? Sells the stands strong enough to hold them.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you don't have to put it on a wall.
Right.
You could put it in the middle of a giant room where people can walk around and appreciate it. You know, that's kind of nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Pardon me. That's very awesome. I love it. So I'm at the end of my list here. One thing I want to do is give you some time to let's get your name out here. Let's get every site we can see you at.
Okay. I'm Kenny 101, and it's shaped like the highway sign, so it made it easy. All my socials are Kenny 101. My website's kenny101.com. It's not actually live right now because I'm still in the process of going professional with this.
Yeah.
So the website's there. It's not active yet, but everything's there, and all my socials are Kenny 101.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start a campaign here to get Kenny some bottle caps.
Yeah.
Let's.
I'll take all the caps. If you're within range, I'll drive to come see you if I can. I'll come pick them up if I have to.
Okay.
But I would like to work on a main collection space somewhere here in town. I think that would be the easiest way for everybody. I think that'd be great.
Absolutely. We're going to work on that. It was so awesome having you here, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I can't even.
It was fun to come chat.
I can't even tell you how exciting this is, and you know, getting to be out. You know, I have a couple episodes out, which is nothing. Having a real interview with somebody that I'm excited about to see. I can't wait to see where you go, man.
And my first interview. Well, I'll tell you where I'm going. Where I'm going is that I have figured out. So the Amy Winehouse piece, the big pieces are 6x4. They're large, on a sheet of plywood. And I've figured out how to make 4 multi-panel pieces, 4 or 6 panels, and have them all fit together seamlessly, so you don't see. You know, obviously the caps will be cut, but they'll fit together seamlessly to make one giant image.
Oh my god!
So they'll be the largest bottle cap murals ever to be made or in existence or have been
Dude,
made.
I cannot wait.
And hopefully they're up in fashion houses or Louis Vuitton or Nike or somewhere that appreciates art and has $120,000 to spend on artwork.
Yeah.
But that's the goal. Big breweries, big businesses, big pieces, 14,000 caps. Never been done before.
Go big or go home.
That's what I'm doing.
That's fucking awesome.
That's what I'm doing, bro.
I love it.
All right.
Well, thanks for being here, Kenny.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely.
Appreciate it.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll get back to the regular show. And we'll have a good time.
See you later, guys.
Have a good one. Bye.
All right, everybody. What do you think? I was blown away.
That was an amazing interview
by that art.
Good job
Thank
snagging
you.
that interview, man.
Thank you.
That dude is a wild whirlwind of a story.
Right?
And to find a calling in something like bottle cap art, that's so cool. Like,
you know, there's
random, but
very
awesome.
few people who do it, and do it so well, to put it mildly. To hear his story of that, and then the life, he's had a hell of a life.
Yeah.
Just traveling, jumping on that motorcycle and going.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I ride a motorcycle. Before the mice chewed through the wires, I rode a motorcycle. It's great. It gives you a great feeling of being free and out and open. So I definitely understand what he's talking about when he says, I just had to go and do this, you know, like.
Yeah, especially when you like go off somewhere completely different than what you're used to.
Yeah.
That's got to be really freeing.
Yeah.
I'm
Definitely.
scared of motorcycles, so that actually is just terrifying to me. But I appreciate it for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That's
Pretty awesome to hear. One thing I want to put out here before we end this episode um, is that maybe it's just the platinum goo talking, but there's a very special friend I want to talk about
Oh yeah.
during this episode.
Who's that? Who would that be?
Well, he's a dude I've known for a little while here. Kind of watched him mature into a man, if you know what I mean. His name, Raider James. Raider James, baby, this one's for you, my friend.
What's up, Raider?
Yeah.
How's it going, buddy?
Woo!
Shout out.
Shout out to you, my man. I hope you're having a great time. Hope you had a great Christmas. Hope you're having a great New Year, Raider.
Yep.
We'll see you around, buddy.
Hell yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
That's a good shout out.
Yeah. He's a great.
Raider's one of our best fans.
He's one of our best fans.
Yeah,
Great
best
fan.
young up and coming fans.
He is. He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was it. I hope you enjoyed the interview.
Yeah, that was great. I hope we can get some more awesome interviews with like unique people like that.
We actually have a few interviews lined up.
Oh, cool.
A couple dispensaries in town.
Nice.
One of our local record stores. We're going to be talking to them soon. So bear with us. And, we're getting used to the screen again. So kind of bear with us on that one. We hope you've enjoyed it. And,
Yeah.
remember, you're never too high to give your perspective. All right, baby.